I've got some ways to make your Instagram stories stand out. In this video, I'm sharing 5 ways to be exact. I talk often about Instagram tips, hacks, and ways to grow, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little bell to be notified when I post. I've got lots to share when it comes to Instagram, so let's get right to it. Today I'm in Mexico City and the question comes from Sam, who asks, Phil, do you have any ideas on how I could make my Instagram stories stand out? Absolutely, Sam. Today I'm going to share with you my 5 ways that you can immediately make your Instagram stories stand out. And by the way, before we get to that, hashtags are one of the many ways you can quickly grow on Instagram, but it's confusing to know exactly how you're supposed to use them. Lucky for you, I've got a free worksheet that I'm going to link to down below. This PDF will explain exactly how you post using hashtags to help you grow. That is linked down below. As well, it's worth mentioning that I've also got an online course called Instagram Mastery, which teaches you how to master the IT platform like a pro, tricks for getting eyes on your profile, improving your feed aesthetic, and using all 4 verticals to grow your audience. I give you lifetime access to 20 easy to follow video tutorials, templates, and more, bonuses even. I will paste a special promo code for you linked below for anyone who finds my course here on YouTube. Now on to my stories tips, starting with the first one. Tip number 1, think vertical. It might be obvious, but I want to talk specifics. Any content you capture for Instagram stories or IGTV for that matter should be captured vertically when possible. Now, if you are shooting on a camera like this isn't your phone, make sure you move the camera from this to like this. The exact dimensions for an Instagram story are 1920 by 1080. It's useful for you to know these pixel widths if you're using tools like Canva or Photoshop. Once again, dimensions for Instagram stories are 1920 by 1080. So think vertical. Fill up that portrait screen real estate that you've got to play with. That's tip number 1. Next, tip number 2, develop a unique aesthetic. What is your visual brand, or when it comes to your style that's unique to you? In branding, it's best to make decisions, create parameters, and stick to those parameters as closely as you can. Now, some creators prefer to create graphics outside of Instagram for stories. I'm not as big of a fan of that because I think it's a lot of extra work and it feels overly produced for Instagram stories, which is really meant to be a place to capture quick moments and bring us along for the ride. So I tend to keep more produced content for feed or for IGTV. Now that being said, there are still some ways to stay on brand or even stand out using one simple feature: pasting photos into your story from your camera roll. Beyond pasting photos, I also recommend saving your brand colors to your camera roll. Beyond pasting photos, I also recommend saving your brand colors to your camera roll. I heart mine on my phone so they're easy to access. Let's take a little look here and I'm going to show you. So here's what I do. I open favorites and I copy the color. I go back to Instagram, and anytime I want to color text or elements that I use in my story to stay on brand, I simply paste the color which I've saved previously as an image into my story by clicking on the text feature and then clicking paste, sampling the color from the image I've just pasted, and then dragging the image into trash. Now you're not just limited to a handful of colors that Instagram gives you to choose from, which everyone else uses, by the way. We're trying to stand out here, so this is one definite way that you can do that, and it's a hack that a lot of people don't know about. You're welcome. Now moving on to the next tip. Tip number 3, access more colors. This tip is really simple, and still a lot of people don't know that it exists. Now, I just showed you how you can stay on brand by dragging in an image. In this case, a color saved as an image on my camera roll. You can drag in an image, use a color tool to sample it, and voila. Well, there's another trick that you can use to access more colors than just the handful that Instagram gives you down at the bottom. Let's take a look. Here I've got my story open and I'll click to add text and I'll add a white background. I click and highlight the text and hold my finger on the colors at the bottom, giving you so many more colors to choose from. Now, if you want to get really fancy, you can click the text, highlighter and then drag it across the word while you drag your finger across the colors. And that creates a rainbow color gradient effect. Very cool, right? All different kinds of nifty things that you can do here on Instagram. Definitely, by the way, Instagram generation, you do not say the word nifty. Moving on. Tip number 4, experiment with backgrounds. Now I'm going to show you a few background options. Maybe you already know about this, but I'm going to show you a few ways that you can have fun with this background effect. Now let's take a look. Start by sampling a color using the brush tool and then hold your finger on the screen for a few seconds. It will fill in the screen with that color. Now I'll undo that and share one more thing. Instead of using the brush, click on the highlighter tool on the top, then hold down on the screen. The highlighter tool makes it partially opaque so that you can see the image partially behind the color. Now if you select the eraser tool at the top, you can erase parts of the screen to make the image visible. This is great for a preview or a sneak peek kind of effect on an image. Finally, I've got one more tip for you. Tip number 5, hide your hashtags. Actually, before hiding them, make sure you use them. Many people use hashtags in their feed post, but you should also be using them in your stories. Here's why. Most hashtags, not small ones, really small ones, but medium to large size tags have dedicated stories that people watch. Here, I will show you. Here I've searched hashtag Sunday brunch. And if you notice, it's got its own story. People from all over the world posting stories using the hashtag Sunday brunch. But hashtags and stories can look messy and overly promotional, which is not the vibe that you want. So you should still use hashtags. But like I'll use on this post, I'm going to make them small. I've pinched it here small. I could even go smaller because I'm going to hide it. So it can be really, really small and still register, which is awesome. I'm going to look at some possible GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call them. I'm loving this disco ball avocado, so I'm going to add that into my story and hide the hashtag. But the hashtag still registers. So there you have it. 5 handy tricks to make your stories stand out. Now really quick, if you're using Instagram stories question sticker, I have got another video that you are going to love. I will link to that over here somewhere. I've also got a handy and free worksheet all about hashtags. They're going to help you understand hashtags, teach you how to use them strategically, and I'll explain exactly how to grow your followers using hashtags. That worksheet is linked in the description below. And if you want more support and knowledge on mastering Instagram as a whole, make sure you check out the link below as well for my course, which I'm giving you a special promo code for. Have you got any hacks that will help jazz up your Instagram stories? If so, and there's one that I haven't mentioned, be sure to include those in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, especially if you've taken the time to watch this YouTube video. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more practical tips to looking good online. I'm Phil Pallen, and since we're talking Instagram, I'm going to share another video with some easy hacks to grow your followers. Some of you might not have heard of these hacks, and that's what I'm going to link up next. That's coming up. Thanks so much for watching.